The Justice Friends, three of Earth's mightiest heroes.
Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. Well, I have some good news, and that is Justice League was actually really good. Really good. Don't listen to those people on Rotten Tomatoes because it's not deserving of a, 36%? It was a lot better than I expected, because after both Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, I expected Justice League to be another one of those, shoddy, poorly put together Zack Snyder type films, or a Zack Snyder film as this is. And I know Joss Whedon took over halfway through because unfortunately Zack Snyder's daughter passed away, and Whedon took up the reins, so I expected it to be a movie that looked like a Snyder movie, like Batman vs. Superman, but with quippy dialogue. So I was going in with pretty low expectations after being burned twice before. And I mean, Wonder Woman was great, but I kind of put that in a league of its own, a movie that wasn't messed too much by the studio, unlike BVS and Suicide Squad, so I expected Justice League to be more in line with that, and it wasn't. It turned out really, really good. I am thoroughly surprised. I'm still very, very, very happy about it. First and foremost, Justice League was just a lot of fun. Characters were brimming with charisma. The plot is not complicated at all, so it's really easy to follow everything that's going on. It's not a convoluted mess like Batman vs. Superman, and every character has an equal part in it, and they all play off of each other, and they play integral to the story really, really well. Everyone has a moment to shine. And speaking of shining, Superman feels like Superman in this movie. And I always knew Henry Cavill had it in him. He's a very charming dude. I mean, if you watch Man from U.N.C.L.E., he just oozes charisma, and so I wanted him to take that and put it into Superman. But unfortunately, the past few movies with Superman in it have had him hate the world. People hate him. He's a whole controversial figure. I never got that take. I didn't like it. I like my Superman being the Blue Boy Scout. I like him being the literal symbol of light, because he gets power from the sun, and I wanted that. And I'm happy to say that version of Superman is gleefully in this movie. I was kicking my feet like a little schoolboy. The only problem is, oh my god! Yeah, so elephant in the room. I guess we don't get a fully realized version of Superman. I mean, the spirit is there. Henry Cavill brings his A game, but his face is nowhere to be seen. Because, if you didn't know this, when they were doing reshoots, when Whedon took over helming this movie and they were doing reshoots, Henry Cavill was already filming his role for Mission Impossible 6. And in that, he's got a big, Tom Selleck, Burt Reynolds, Ron Swanson mustache going on for his role there. So, you don't want Superman in a mustache, I guess. I mean, that would be funny. I wouldn't mind it, but I guess the movie didn't want that. So instead of shaving and buying, a nice mustache off the Spirit of Halloween or something for the role in Mission Impossible, they decided to CGI out the whole mustache, making Superman look like the Crimson Chin. And, some of it is so bad looking. The movie opens up with Superman talking to a little kid with his weird face, and it just looks like a filter of someone else's mouth going over their mouth. It is horrid. You'd think that, I don't even know what to say. That's hands down the worst part of the movie, and it's unintentionally funny. Like, I was roaring in the theater how bad it was, but I'm done laughing at that now. Now I'm just scared. Aside from that, Justice League had some pacing issues. The villain Steppenwolf was, you guessed it, a completely one-dimensional, extremely bland villain, and they didn't play Magic Carpet right at all, which sucked. But walking out of that theater, I had a huge smile on my face, and I was really happy at what I saw. Justice League is not a perfect film, but it's not as bad as Rotten Tomatoes would lead you to believe. Yeah, there's some head-scratching moments, middle of the way through when Superman comes back. What he does is I was like, oh, why? He pretty much attacks everybody and invokes some lines and says some lines from Batman vs. Superman to Batman himself, and I'm like, what's the point of this? I mean, I understand that if when he comes back to life he's confused and dazed and everything like that's totally, fine, but he doesn't have to go on a rampage and try to kill everybody. By everybody, I mean the League. And then of course Lois Lane comes and brings it back down to earth, literally. So that whole thing was just like, you can just get that out of there. Steppenwolf, I can buy Steppenwolf being a one-dimensional villain because this movie is about the team working together and becoming one. So Steppenwolf helps them do that. So if you want to leave him just as, the generic video game villain, I'm cool with that. And some of the reshot scenes that Joss Whedon did, some of them stick out like a sore thumb compared to the stylistic, moody and dark scenes that Zack Snyder makes. So it's not that much of a Frankenstein film. I mean, yeah, they stick out, but they're not like terribly distracting. But I think if the average moviegoer walks into this not knowing any of the behind the scenes stuff, not knowing that Joss Whedon took over, they probably wouldn't notice. But yeah, no, I loved Justice League. I can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. I'll be first in line to get that. I'm pleasantly surprised to say that it is a great film. Also, before I go, I want to plug something. Besides my usual social media stuff, I want to plug a service that I've been using that's great, and I recommend it to everybody. And that service is called MoviePass. If you haven't heard what MoviePass is or what it does, I suggest looking it up right now, and you'll thank me later. Tweet at me if you like MoviePass, because it's the greatest invention of the 21st century. Hey guys and gals, thanks again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like what you hear, you can subscribe to me or check me out on Twitter at JGScreen89. You can check out my podcast on Twitter. I post my podcast on Twitter, which is Blah Blah Podcast, and on Twitter it's Blah Blah Pod 1. Yeah, thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.